There are many people making the argument right now that the bipartisan move to ban TikTok has everything to do with government control of our communications, and that's partially true. The argument is that this is an opportunity to gain control of the narrative machine that they're losing, to seize control or shut down X and Rumble, and TikTok is the attack vector because Republicans back in 2020 were actively trying to ban TikTok. Now, the issue for Republicans is actually quite simple. TikTok promotes leftist ideology to an extreme degree. Whatever is behind the algorithm, they argue it's just what teenagers want. I don't believe it for a second. TikTok actively promotes degenerate content, which causes self-harm. Fact. Instagram's not too far off, but TikTok is substantially worse. We don't know what they're doing with the data. We don't know how their algorithm operates, and it is a massive detriment to us and young people in the West. So for this, Republicans made the argument they're taking your data and China is an adversary, so we should ban them unless they divest from China. This was an effort to get TikTok under the control of American interests, which would very much empower the deep state, the U.S. government, and give them another platform they could control. But the reason why TikTok is now actually facing a ban has very little to do with this and everything to do with Israel. I cannot stand Israel-Palestine derangement syndrome, be it from those who are like, this is the worst thing that has ever could possibly happen ever. No. Holy crap. There are a lot of crises happening in the world. There are concentration camps. There are slavers. There is rampant sexual abuse and murder. You take a look at Afghanistan. You take a look at Yemen, the 100,000 children who have died in the past several years from a combination of resource restriction and war, starvation, and outright murder. And people are still screaming and ripping their faces off over Palestine. I'm not saying to ignore Palestine. I'm not saying Israel's innocent. I'm not saying Israel should not have defended. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying conflicts exist everywhere. And this obsession is insane. But one thing that I find truly fascinating is that the insanity has brought us to this point. I'll tell you exactly what happens and why we are where we are. I believe that TikTok should be forced to divest. I don't care about all of these arguments that people are making. It seems to be nonsensical. There are many people on social media, namely X, saying they want to ban X. Sagar and Jetty has pointed out perfectly, excellently, two huge things. The bill would not allow this. I've argued the same thing. If your argument is that the federal government and Democrats are corrupt and do corrupt things, then what does the bill have to do with any of it? They'll abuse it. They don't need this bill to shut down X or Rumble. They could issue a national security letter like they've done to numerous web providers in the past, and they do it to this day to seize control of them. They don't need to shut them down. These companies are already operating in the United States, and the NSA can already easily seize their data and, again, issue a national security letter. They want to bring TikTok into the fold. Simply put, if your argument is that they'll abuse their power, the bill means nothing. And if your argument is that the bill is bad, I feel like you haven't read the bill. Not that I think any bill from the government is typically a great thing. The idea that because Facebook is bad, we should allow China to influence us. It's the weirdest thing imaginable. And this is where I get really, really sick of the Israel-Palestine derangement syndrome people. I feel so much more passion against the Trump derangement syndrome people because it's just like you have lost your mind when you think these things of Trump. But the Israel-Palestine stuff is also just very, very nuts. Okay, so here's what happens. TikTok begins promoting pro-Palestine content, sparking a massive controversy, resulting in Democrats who support Israel saying, we got to ban it. We got to ban it. And now other Republicans are going, we've been telling you. See, back in the day, we have the story. This is from Time Magazine, Why Trump Flipped on TikTok. And it basically breaks this point down, which I believe is absolutely correct. But there are many people that I consider friends on X saying the government wants control. And I'm like, please read the bill. Please read it. The bill is weak, almost entirely and specifically targeting TikTok. and targeting very little others. But people keep posting out of context clips from the bill and saying, what about this, Tim? I'm like, did you read the subparagraph after that that says everything you just argued can't happen? But they'll abuse it anyway. Yes, they will. They will abuse this and literally everything else, and they will do things that are illegal. The bill doesn't matter. They don't need this bill to go after X and Rumble. Let me stress that right now. The NSA has already tapped into those servers and stealing whatever they want. And if they want to control them, they need write only a single sheet that says national security on it, and they can immediately go in and seize control. The only risk there, I guess, is that X or Rumble can come out and be like, this is what they're trying to do to us. But were that the case with any platform moving forward, it would be the exact same circumstance. In the event the TikTok divestment bill happens, and the president declares Trump a Russian agent, therefore he must divest from Truth Social, he would have to publicly declare this, creating a massive political controversy, to which I hear from all the Republicans that the targeting of Trump has boosted him in the polls. In which case, how would they, like, I literally don't see the logic. But I want to show you the issue of Israel before we get into all the other domestic politics stuff, because I think it's very important we talk about how support for Israel is the reason this bill is happening. So let's just say this. By all means, disagree with me if you want to. Tell me I'm wrong. That's fine. Say TikTok should stay. By all means. You may be wondering why it is this bill is being pushed so heavily, and Israel is the principal component. I am not suggesting that Israelis are literally going to the United States to draft this legislation. I'm saying that there are many people in this country who support U.S. military endeavors, whether it's Israel or otherwise. And TikTok was promoting Palestinian content that made Israel look bad, undermining U.S. foreign policy. For many people who support Israel, the issue is very simple. We love Israel, they say. Therefore, TikTok bad. For the people who love Palestine, they say, don't ban TikTok. It's government control. Certainly, there are real arguments from real people about why the TikTok ban divestment bill, which could result in a ban, shouldn't go through. But I got to tell you, there are way too many people that hate Israel that are now coming out being like, it's actually good that China has the ability to directly influence the young people of this country. Yuri Bezmenov was wrong. This is what I can't stand. It is fine to say that TikTok should not influence our young people, and so we should force a divestment. It is fine to say TikTok was promoting content that was defensive of Palestine and critical of Israel. It is fine to say that you support one over the other, and the U.S. government will try to suppress anti-Israel content. All of those things are fine. But what annoys me is that there are people who are making fake arguments as to why they're trying to shut down TikTok. The government's trying to seize control. No, the government is trying to protect its foreign policy. The government wants to blow up brown kids all around the world, and it doesn't want anyone getting in its way. Let's be honest about what's going on. That doesn't mean we should let China run an algorithm that sends degenerate garbage to American young people. Not that I like Facebook or Instagram doing it either. That's something we have to deal with too. But if we get a chance to stop China from doing it, why would we not? And they're actually taking data. So here's a story from yesterday. Major U.S. Jewish groups back bipartisan bill that could see TikTok banned. Jewish Federations of North America says it supports the proposed law due to concerns of anti-Semitism proliferating on the platform. This is plain as day and obvious. These people aren't hiding their concerns. I bring you now to October. This is October 31st. Evidence that suggests TikTok was intentionally propping up pro-Palestine content. Many people made the argument, especially on the left, no, TikTok's not doing this. It's just that people are defensive of Palestine. Wrong. And I have the data to show you. We went over this back when this story happened, but I'll bring it up for you again in this context. Sarah Fisher for Axios writes, on TikTok, views of pro-Palestine posts far surpass views of pro-Israel posts. Now, there have been many media analysts who are not partisan, who pointed out the data we're seeing suggests intentional actions by TikTok. Take a look at this. Global posts and views of select hashtags on TikTok. October 16th to the 23rd, 2023, shortly after October 7th. There were 123,000 posts, hashtag Stand with Palestine. There were 8,000 posts, Stand with Israel. Despite the fact that the Stand with Israel posts were substantially less, they received 12 million views. Despite the fact that there were 123,000 posts for Palestine, only 11 million views. I do not believe this would show TikTok suppressing support for Palestine. The reason being, the trends had just emerged and TikTok would not have had any real time to react. It's possible, but the following week, you can see a massive spike. Despite the fact that Stand With Palestine posts went way down to 87,000, their views skyrocketed to 285 million. And despite the fact that Stand With Israel remained around the same, it skyrocketed to about 64 million. But how? Such a dramatic change from one week to the next. A lot of reasons. It could be organic, 100%. But I believe, and some other data researchers believe, this is indicative of TikTok altering its algorithm or intentionally promoting Palestine. It could be that it was inadvertently promoting Palestine because of gamification of the system, but I believe it's more indicative of an intentional shift. What I see with the first week with hashtag Stand With Israel was that it was more popular. 8,000 posts, 12 million people were viewing them because what happened October 7th was horrifying. And the reason why nobody was viewing the Stand With Palestine content is that Hamas stormed into Israel and, killed a bunch of people. But why then in the next week did it shift? This is well before there was, a ground incursion or anything that's going on right now. 285 million posts skyrocketing. This says to me something that was deemed to be less than popular instantly became popular. Now, 87,000 posts, substantially less, but getting more views, proportionally more views. The propaganda game is afoot. It's entirely possible TikTok had nothing to do with it, and that it was a sock puppet game. They go on to say in the Axios article, let me pull it up. According to TikTok's data, the Stand With Palestine hashtag is most popular in Malaysia, Pakistan, the Emirates, Bahrain, and Qatar. Stand With Israel was most popular in Israel, followed by Malaysia, Greece, Lithuania, and Croatia. So it would seem that pro-Palestinian government efforts may have been at play here. So let's entertain two possibilities. One, TikTok altered its algorithm to promote Stand With Palestine. I believe that is a strong possibility. I don't know for sure. Why? Chinese Communist Party interests undermining American foreign policy in the Middle East. I'm not saying the U.S. should be involved. I'm not saying it's good. I oppose U.S. foreign policy in most of its forms. I believe we should stop funding all of these wars, bring our troops back, guard our border, bring our jobs back, etc. I don't see why we're funding all this stuff. I know they can make the argument that Israel's a strong ally in the Middle East, and I'm just like, dude, I don't care for any of it. China, however, recognizes that whether or not Tim Pool or any of us more libertarian-leaning individuals oppose the war, they know that the U.S. government is doing it. So if they promote pro-Palestine over pro-Israel, it's not that China cares for Israel or Palestine. It's that they want to undermine U.S. foreign policy, which this does. That being said, it's entirely possible that what we're seeing with this hashtag from Malaysia, Pakistan, Emirates, Bahrain, and Qatar is pro-Palestinian efforts in these countries to undermine Israel's policy and undermine the U.S. Hard to know for sure because Bahrain, they got some deals with the United States and, and so does Qatar. But for the most part, yeah. Now, if it is not TikTok that is doing this intentionally, the U.S. still faces another major problem. Foreign governments can manipulate TikTok into undermining foreign policy, and the U.S. can do nothing about it. So the U.S. wants to take control. I believe it is a fact that the U.S. does want TikTok under American interests to give it more control over the platform. 100%. And then I would add, it is a difficult decision, but my friends, I would rather the U.S. government have control of a platform than communist China. I do not believe communist China is going to try and create any kind of content that is good for us. Facebook promotes bad stuff. TikTok, Instagram, these platforms all do. Rumble and X are pretty good. However, despite the fact that Instagram and Facebook promote garbage and so does Snapchat, it is still better that we in the United States have the ability to FOIA, force testimony, and target TikTok for its wrongdoings. We are not going to be better off with TikTok promoting wokeness and far left insanity. We have limited recourse. This bill, at the very least, allows us to try and go after them for, FOIA requests if it's divested. Now, China is saying they won't do it. The U.S. wants ByteDance to sell TikTok. China is almost certainly going to refuse. And their argument from the CEO is this could destroy 300,000 jobs. You want to know why Trump flip-flopped on TikTok? I'll tell you. I believe that Donald Trump initially was opposed to TikTok, as were many Republicans, because it was promoting leftist ideology and jeopardizing their political campaigns. Principal issue. We saw TikTok put out push notifications telling their users to call Congress. That is immense and insane political power for the Chinese Communist Party. I don't think we can tolerate that. I don't like Mark Zuckerberg. I don't like the woke left of the Democrats, but I certainly think communist China is worse. I don't want Joe Biden cutting deals with the Chinese Communist Party and doing private equity deals. I don't want them to bypass the entirety of the system and just go straight into the veins of our young people. Donald Trump, the Republicans, I, and many others saw the problem. TikTok was promoting far left insanity, undermining Republican campaigns. Not that it's going to have a significant impact on elections in the immediate, though the push notifications may, but it will craft a generation of psychopaths and woke far leftists for the years to come. Not a good thing. Well, it lost in the courts. Trump was unable to actually ban TikTok, demanding they divest. Democrats said, no, don't do it. But then Israel happened. And now many Democrats who are pro-Israel and have pro-Israel constituents are worried. They're getting phone calls saying, why are you allowing this and why didn't you ban it? Republicans, understanding that TikTok is coming after them, have said, hey, look, let's just get this through. TikTok is bad. Now Democrats are finally on board. This is why Donald Trump has flip-flopped. Joe Biden coming out saying that he's going to ban TikTok means young people will be in revolt, and Trump can say, we shouldn't do it. We should protect what the kids want. I believe Trump is wrong to do this. I believe Trump should come out and say, here's the harsh reality. It's bad. Now, of course, the CEO of TikTok comes out and says, but this will end jobs. The reason why many people are now coming out in defense of TikTok is because TikTok gave them platforms. That's the reality. I have warned about this, and I will warn about it now. And I'm telling these people who are like, no, we shouldn't force divestment. Look, you got bad Democrat corruption, deep state corruption, Chinese Communist Party, infinitely worse. I've long said when it comes to Russia versus Biden, Putin versus Biden, I'm on Biden's side. Biden's a corrupt guy. He's an evil guy. He undermines this country. He's destroying this country, but he's destroying it slower, I guess. I'm not saying I'm happy, but at least Joe Biden lives here and he has family here. So I can respect that he would much prefer it not to get nuked. Not that I like the guy or think he's anything but corrupt. I don't like Democrats. I don't like Zuckerberg. I think the deep state will lie, cheat, and steal. But the Communist Party of China is an existential threat to us. Letting them influence our young people is a serious threat. I don't have any good answers for you. But what's happened now, as I've warned, is this. Let's start by saying this. How to start nondescript social media platform and take over the world. I am describing no social media platform, but you can assert whatever you want, believe whatever you want to believe. Let's say a new social media app appears on the scene late in the game, and all of a sudden it starts gaining a major foothold. Young people are using it. How could this be? I mean, many people have tried launching social networks. Nobody can beat the likes of, I don't know, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Here's what you do. And I recommend you do this right now. Sure. Well, I shouldn't say that, so I don't recommend you do it. I'm being facetious, but I will explain that companies do this. Launch a social media network called Socialcast. There you go. And run advertisements for it on Instagram and Facebook and X. Socialcast is the cool place where you can make video game videos really easily. The way it works is you can film yourself and the video game you're playing will automatically appear behind you, just like TikTok does, right? And then you can talk about the game you're playing. It's for those who like video games. Then what you do is you hire 30 young people to produce videos for your new platform. You reach out to them on Instagram or YouTube or whatever and say, hey, we're launching a new platform. We'll pay you $2,000 if you make a couple videos. And they'll go, for real? And what you really want to do is you want to target some young people who don't have big followings, maybe a couple hundred followers or 1,000. And, maybe like 16, 17, 18 and say, are you able to do this? Is this something we can do? We'll pay you $1,000 to make 5 videos. And they'll go, $1,000, 5 videos. Here's the best part. They make the content. You run that content as advertisements on other platforms saying of someone playing a video game and being like, this cool music, and they're like, yes, victory. This will attract some new users, but for the most part, you might only have like 1,000 users. Then what this company could do is these young people that sign up, all of a sudden they make some videos. Dude, they're getting followers. They went from 100 to 1,000 in a week. Tons of comments. Bro, awesome video. I love your content, dude. 17-year-old kid in high school sitting there with a smug look on his face. And he's like, what's going on, dudes? And they're like, why are you looking so smug? Oh, it's whatever. I'm just going to make a video for this new platform. Got paid to do it. It's called Socialcast. And they'll say, what? What's that? Yeah, you know, it's like TikTok, but I make video game videos. And they'll be like, why are you acting so smug? Oh, I got 3,000 followers. You got 3,000 followers? Nuh-uh. Bro, check it out. On Socialcast, I have 3,000 followers. Are you even on Socialcast? Bro, you're a loser. I'm exaggerating. But what happens is these young people get love bombed by bots. The person who runs the platform will make fake accounts to follow these young people and make them feel like they are succeeding. Dopamine hit. Ding. Your points are going up, baby. The more you post videos, the more followers you get, the more views you get. But you didn't realize the views, the videos, the likes, they're all fake. But it feels so real. You're not making money or anything on it, but boy, are you getting that social validation. Then the other kids in the high school start going, dude, did you see Rick's on Socialcast? He's got 3,000 followers. Then Rick walks in with his leather jacket and cool aviators and goes, 3,000? I'm at 10,000 already. I'm famous. And they go, what? I want to be on Socialcast. And so then they all sign up too, desperately trying to get those followers. And then what do? The same thing. And one by one, the kids are signing up for a network where a bunch of bots are telling them, you're so cool and I love your content. Now all the kids are competing who can get the most followers. They're sharing it with their friends and they're going like, nah, I don't use TikTok or X. I'm on Socialcast. Really? What's that? Yeah, follow me if you want to hang out. Then some 17-year-old kid's at the mall and he meets some girl and it's like, what's your Socialcast handle? And she goes, Socialcast? I don't use it. Oh, I'm pretty big on Socialcast. Imagine all the young guys trying to flex being like, what's up, girl? Hey, are you on Socialcast? And they're like, no. And it's like, you got to follow me. I've got 10,000 followers. Trying to look impressive. That's how the game is played. So what happens for Republicans? Well, I'll put it this way. If, not describing any particular social media platform, if I was a social media platform that was run by an adversary of the United States and I was worried we were going to get banned, what I would do is I would start sending followers the way of some of these prominent individuals. Young people who are more right-leaning would gain more and more followers. And then when the effort comes to ban them because they're trying to manipulate young people, they'll go, no, don't ban it. Why's that? Oh, because you've got 300,000 followers on that platform, right? Right. Now that you've got a big following there, you don't want to lose access to that audience. Create the addiction, run the ads, build the network, and then you'll end up with people being like, please, please don't ban me. That's what's happening. Republicans now feeling like they have an advantage on the platform don't want to see it go. It's a mistake. TikTok should divest from the CCP. End of story. We shouldn't ban it. We shouldn't have to ban it. We should simply say, if we are not allowed to operate a business in China and we have to build special apps under their security lockdown, why would we not reciprocate? I once had to get a visa to go to Brazil. For 10 years, I had this visa. It expired not that long ago. I've been there in a long time. The reason is the U.S. requires visas for Brazilians, so Brazil says we reciprocate. If you want to come here, you need a visa. If we want to go there, we need a visa. Fine, so be it. China says U.S. tech companies can't operate in their borders unless they follow the rules of the CCP. Why would we not do the same thing? And people are like, yes, but it empowers American social media. So what? They're already a problem. What benefit do we get from China undermining our young people? You do a deal with the devil. I guarantee you it will come back to haunt you. You think that when the devil approaches you and says, I will give you the means to communicate outside the control of your deep state. And you're like, this sounds like a really good deal. And then what he does is he poisons your conversations. And then one day, as your skin is gaunt and your eyes are sunken in and you're struggling to breathe, you go, but why? We did a deal with you. And he goes, because I want all of you crushed. The CCP does not like you. The CCP does not support or oppose Palestine-Israel. The CCP does not care for woke or otherwise. The CCP will not protect Republicans. What they want is everyone in this country to be undermined so they can win on the global stage. The devil comes to you and offers you the deal, and you think, but if we do a deal, he'll protect me. And then in the end, you're all gutted. And you think you've been betrayed. And he says, I was never on your side. I used you to undermine your own country. That's currently where we're at. I have no problem pissing off young people and those addicted to TikTok and those paranoid by saying, this is what I see happening. And maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I am, and that's why I'm arguing my position. My favorite thing ever about these whingers on Timcast IRL is like, there goes Tim thinking he's right about everything. Who goes on a show ever and says, I'm now going to say something I think I'm wrong about? Typically, if I do, I'll be like, maybe I'm wrong, but here's what I think. Of course, I'm going to argue what I think is right. And if someone argues with me and the argument's not strong, I'm not going to budge on my argument. But we've certainly had instances where I was wrong. I'll give you an example. Seamus and I had a discussion about abortion. I made the argument that abortion could involve removing a stillbirth, a baby that dies in the womb. I was wrong. I came out a week later and said I was completely wrong about that. We ended up reading the definitions and Seamus was correct. No problem saying that. Right here, I think I am completely right as to what is going on and what should be done. And it's not easy. And the Democrats and the deep state, they will be corrupt and they will abuse their power. Pick your poison. Welcome to the nightmare. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.